Welcome to RVing in New England, the nation's only forum that puts you on stage with some of the biggest names in the RV industry. And now your hosts, John DePietro and Bob Zagami.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to RVing in New England.
Right. And if you're wondering why we're a little bit late, I forgot to hit the go live button and had to duplicate everything. Must have been the long day. It's Wednesday.
Long day. Yep.
Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Been a busy week. Still no excuse, but welcome everybody to RV in New England. We got a terrific show for you tonight.
We have a bonus show tonight, Bob. A bonus.
We're throwing in a bonus, right? I know you're all waiting to hear from our all-star cast of technicians, Randy, Chris, and Ryan, and they will be on in a short period of time. But John and I had an opportunity to speak with a gentleman named Will Belden, who has an internet channel called myrvradio.com, and his front page looks kind of like that. John, tell us what he does with that.
Well, Will has a very interesting situation in that he is basically one of the first people that I know of that is creating RV content for RVers. And he's got some amazing stats about how many RVers are out there, how many new ones are coming out there, what the demographics are. And he's got several different programs on his channel, if you will. And if you want to find out about campgrounds, there's a channel there. If you want to find out about do-it-yourself, there's a channel there. If you want to find out about full timing, there's a channel there. And we had an opportunity to be interviewed for his show tonight. And he was so compelling that I said to Bob, hey, let's have Will come on with us. And he's somewhere in Arizona. And why don't we bring him on? And, but here's the cool thing. Will, welcome back to New England. So tell everybody that you are a Green Mountain boy.
I am. Many, many, many moons ago, I was born in Vermont and lived there until I was 8. Moved to Texas, so I consider myself a Texan, but I tell you, getting off the plane in Amarillo at 104 degrees, that it is not Vermont when you get there.
So, Will, did you move out when Bernie Sanders moved in?
I don't know. I didn't follow politics back then. My dad was, my dad was a carpenter out this way, and that's where I went to live.
That's local politics. That was a low ball. Tell us about your program.
So we are the first, and as far as we know, the only 24/7 online internet radio station. We have the call letters KRVRDB. We are officially licensed, and of course we play music. We play usually the top music from each decade. So we focus a lot on 70s and 80s. Later in the evening, it's 80s or 90s and up. And then even in the wee hours, we've got 50s and 60s.
Do you play ZZ Top?
You dang right I play ZZ Top.
Well, let me tell you one thing. Can we bring ZZ Top up? I think we not only have Will Belden, we have ZZ Top here tonight.
We'll bring you back up in a minute, Randy. That's Randy Murray.
So in addition to the music, you were asking about that. We have you mentioned the programs, and you showed the RV Ace, which is where we highlight, usually an interview style, we highlight experts in the RV industry. We also have a program called RV Heroes, where we focus on those that are volunteering and giving back to the community. Atomic Beats, where we focus on those that are doing music, writing, authors, art, something in the creative aspect. We have different programs like that. In the Know, Tales in a Folding Chair. We just tell a story. And we really wanted to focus on building content that is from RVers and for RVers specifically.
That's great. We got we got a couple that we worked with. We'll send them over to you. The Honor Flag couple, they're ambassadors for Grand Design.
He's been on, right?
Well, yep. Chris Heisler and his wife, Cindy. Yep. We did an interview with Chris when we were at the Grand Design National, since you bring that up. Okay. I think it was a year ago or 2 years ago. And that was a great one. And his story, I mean, I like to think I'm a little stoic, but I was like, some of that stuff's bring a little tear to your eye.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. We enjoyed doing the radio interview with you tonight, and hopefully continuing the relationship. And anything else, John, that you want to say to Will before we let him
Well,
go?
we just want to let our audience know that this is great content. And the beauty of it is that as I look at this list, Jerry Plant could be a guest, who's an RV inspector. Walter Swenson could be a guest to talk about renting his RV, which he's done before. Now there's a new company coming out with peer-to-peer rentals. Jim Convoy could talk all about roofing because he owns an RV roof. Frank could talk about owning a luxury fifth wheel. And Don and Pat Hawes, they've been involved in the industry for a long, long time. They're in Texas right now. I don't know if you know where Rockport is.
I think they're halfway home. I think they're on their way back to New England. Yep. Okay.
John, let me add that, these folks absolutely send them our way. Anyone can email us at goatomic@myrvradio.com. We're sort of a vintage feel. Atomic age is the concept. And, it's not just RV industry experts, but also small business entrepreneurs that are working from their rig like we are. Yep. So, yeah, we're absolutely here to talk to these people and share their stories with the rest of the RV community.
Yeah. And the beautiful part about the RV lifestyle is that you meet so many varied personalities from so many different walks of life. And the beauty of it is that, and I've said this around Frank Palange's campfire before, when you're around the campfire, everybody's the same. There are no bank presidents. There are no people with status. There are people that, they're all out going to have fun. And maybe some of these people can tune into your station and learn something, but also at the same time, provide content for you as well.
And not just that. I mean, we look forward to people making requests. We had a group from Quartzsite say, hey, we're listening to the station, and hey, like 5:00 today, can you play this song and give a shout out to our group? And I'm like, absolutely, we can do that. And we did. And they were like, thank you so much. So
all
that's
right.
what we're here for.
Well, we will listen and we'll send you some recommendations. And thanks again for having us on your program tonight and making a cameo appearance here for all of our fans to get to meet you and check out the station, check out all the programs that you got.
Bob, hold on. Before he goes out, look, he's got that high-tech sneeze screen over that microphone. Show it. Look at that. So
it's called a hiss filter.
Did you check to see if anybody had questions for him?
No, I see Mark Lebrecht. It says, hello from sunny Fort Myers. What about warming up Whately, Mass? He's leaving Florida.
Hey, Mark, I don't know when you're leaving, Mark, but we should have breakfast when you're leaving. Out of here on Friday. That's difficult. Unless I come up Friday morning and have breakfast with you before you head out. Frank and Jim Convoy. Yep. And Walter. All right. So the old gang here. All right. Will, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the time.
Say hi to Lucy or Cindy.
All right.
So
now,
you do meet the nicest people. And just as I look down this list from Jim Convoy to Palange to Hawes, there's every different walk of life that's there. But again, when they're around the campfire, we're all friends. And speaking of friends, these are the friends that you need to know, that you had to have a first-name relationship with, because if anything that goes wrong with your RV.
When Will got off and you started talking, we got an echo back on you.
Well,
actually, on both of us.
Is it because I have a Bluetooth speaker hooked up?
That could be it, because it was right around when you did.
All right, let me unplug it. Hold on, I'll be back.
All right. So we have Ryan Hadley, who is off and on. He'll be back again. Randy Murray from Pete's RV. Chris Dougherty from Dougherty RV Consulting. And Ryan is with TRIC RV Repair. And most of you folks know these guys. They head up our technical track and they decide what programs we're going to have. That's much better. Thank you. And no kickback on ours.
Yeah. You sound better, but you're still ugly.
Yes. They select the topic, do the whole
This
program.
is a hard group.
Where else can you go and get insulted on as a guest?
Ryan pulled his plug.
He just said, "The hell with this. I'm out of here."
Yeah, that's right.
I'm out. I don't have to put up with these guys. What are you talking about?
Oh, so wow, Randy and Chris tonight. Kevin has got our sizes. We should tell people, Bob, we should tell people while we wait for Ryan to come back, if he's going to come back, that 2 weeks from tonight, we will have a special show emanating directly from Elkhart, Indiana, from the Keystone campus in a brand new floor plan for Cougar.
Right. Live from the Keystone factory in Elkhart, Indiana. So Bill said,
you've been talking to Kevin.
I was going to say, you've been in contact with Horky.
You all know, everybody knows Kevin. Certainly one of the nicest guys.
Absolutely.
They were quick when they found out that we were coming out. They were quick to suggest that we visit with them and do the show from there. And we said, we're easy. We'll be there with bells on and nice brand new unit in one of the facilities. So courtesy of Keystone RV. So that'll be a great program.
So why don't we get rolling? And when Ryan jumps back in, here he comes.
I'm back now.
So let me ask the first question for you guys. I think, we're all New England based, which is interesting, but the weather has been crazy. So it's probably slowed down the start of the camping season a little bit. Where you get 90 one day. No, Randy is shaking his head. No, Chris is shaking his head. No. I guess I'm the only one that's slowed down a little bit because my wife said I'm not camping in 45, 50 degree weather. But
come on, rough it a little bit.
That's what I said.
What do you have an RV for?
I'm taking off this weekend with her or without her, but I'm ready to go.
Well, you got a new transmission, don't you, John?
I know it. That's exactly right. I got to
go test it out.
I got to. So let me ask you this, guys. For the do-it-yourselfers that are out there, that you run across, for people that you may have had to fix something, what is the biggest mistake that people either do or don't do in the springtime, right after they've taken their unit out of winter storage? What should they do, or what did they do incorrectly? Chris, why don't we start with? Randy raised his hand. Go ahead, Randy. You raised your hand.
The two that pop right to the top of my head that I deal with the most in the spring are bypasses behind the water heater. They don't remember how they work or how the system works, and how do I hook up my battery. They didn't take a picture of their battery before they unhook it. Those are the two common ones that I deal with on a regular basis.
And if you don't mess with that bypass, if you forget that, what are the consequences?
You won't get hot water.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Potentially burning out a hot water heater element or popping an ECO or something like that. But typically, I get the call, I have no hot water. Have you been playing with your bypasses? Yes. So we actually I've made videos of all the different bypasses so I can just send them to them, because it's really hard to say that, to explain how the bypass process works over the phone.
Yeah. I think Ryan and I did a short video in the fall about things that people miss. Ryan, would you agree with Randy that's on the top 10 list?
I just did that Monday morning. I went to Connecticut because a woman didn't have hot water. Somebody had winterized it for her, and she couldn't get a hold of the person that winterized it. And I went there, and the hot water heater fired up, ran perfectly. I flipped the pressure relief valve, and there was no water in it. And went inside and showed her how to operate the valve so that in the future, if she does it her own or has somebody do it, she knows, just in case.
And how about you, Chris? I know you had started answering.
Yeah, no, just system is that people end up having an issue with the middle valve. So they leave all three valves open. And so they say, geez, I've only got lukewarm water. Yeah. And it said, well, okay, let's check this out. And just by closing the middle valve, it takes care of that. A lot of RVs today have a single valve system. Makes it a little bit simpler, but if you still have the three valve, you have to make sure that middle one's closed.
That's a good question, John. Now, when you guys go out there this year, is there any manufacturer that has made a significant technology improvement or systems improvement that is noteworthy at all? Or are we dealing with the same systems?
I haven't really seen a big difference. I mean, you're getting a lot of LCD screens that operate all the lights and the slide outs and everything, but I mean, there's different ways they control the voltage and the amperage and stuff like that. But as far as anything major that sticks out from somebody else, I haven't seen any of that yet.
Chris, anything that you know of with your Elkhart contacts?
Well, to Ryan's point, multiplexing is a big deal. Solar and lithium battery systems and inverters are a big deal, and other power systems. So you're going to be starting to see some more stuff. Cummins Onan has announced a new hybrid power system. So they'll use their 2800 inverter generator and a lithium battery bank and a power controller that allows your RV to be powered like it was I think it's like a 5,000 kilowatt generator, or 5,000 watt generator, 5 kilowatt generator. So that's the sort of thing you're going to see coming down the line, I think. And little changes here and there, but one of the things I like with Keystone is the wiring, the color, wire color chart and so forth. Yeah, is really nice to see.
Hey guys,
but there's little things.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. This is generally the time of the year when, at least in my case, where I've had to replace my house batteries because it was something I didn't do properly in the fall. Have the lithium pricing of the lithium batteries come down at all in the past few years, or is it still a huge difference between that and the standard?
So lithium batteries are still very expensive, but they, in a positive way. Lithium batteries typically have, if you look at like the Battleborn battery, you got a 10-year warranty on it, where your typical lead acid or your AGMs or the other stuff that we're using in the industry, not even close. They're going to charge a lot quicker for you. So is the lithium battery for everyone? No, it is not. A $900 or $1,000 battery is not for everyone. The person that needs that battery or would capitalize on using that battery, it makes a lot of sense for. And if you do the math on a 10-year note, the lithium battery is not much more expensive than running lead acid. So
who would be
that's
that
how
person, Randy? Who would be that person?
The person that doesn't go to the conventional campground, the person that is off the grid. So what the positives about a lithium battery are very quick charging, and lithium battery holds voltage for a long time. If anybody's ever used, like, say, a cordless drill with a lithium battery on it, you're drilling, and all of a sudden it dies. It's done, right? It goes like this. Where a typical lead acid or an AGM battery, as soon as you start using it, it starts to decel a little bit. So you're not really getting the 100% amp hours that are stated on that battery on a lead acid or an AGM, where a lithium will hold good voltage until the end and then drop off. So you're actually getting a lot more longevity out of the battery. So the person relying on stored power, or the person that is relying on solar and being able to use the solar to accommodate that stored power appropriately, that's the person that it's important to. The person that goes to the campground and plugs in like me, so they can use their air conditioner and watch TV, they don't need a lithium battery. They need to have like nice lawn chairs, right? So the lithium battery is definitely important for somebody, but not the glamper.
a bigger cooler and a hammock, so that the day will be cold and you'll be comfortable.
Exactly.
I just put in 2 AGM batteries yesterday in a lady's Class A motorhome, and I got really good ones, and the price on those was $330 a piece. So like Randy said, lithium may be more expensive, but in the long run, and those only came with a 1-year warranty, the AGMs. So in the long run, lithium may be expensive, but I believe it's worth investing in. One of the biggest things I do tell customers that want to invest in lithium batteries is your converter. You need to check your converter, or give me the number so I can check the converter, so that you can make sure your converter can handle a lithium battery.
Well, that raises another question. If you go back 10 or 15 years ago when batteries were cheap, if the RVer screwed up like John did and did something wrong and had to buy a couple of more, it was a relatively small investment. But when you're paying $300, $1,000 for a battery, what are we doing as an industry? What are the salesmen telling the customers? What are the service techs, Randy, when they pull them into the service bays Are we educating the consumer the right way on battery maintenance and support and cost and what have you?
So our industry is horrible at educating its base. They really. And Bob, you and I have talked about this for years.
Why don't you tell us how you really feel, Randy?
So you and I have been doing seminars together for how many years now, Bob? And it's because we knew our industry did a horrible job. And you brought Chris into doing them, and Ryan's doing them now. I think it's awesome. So it's really up to us to educate the end user. And, we do a good job at it. Are we great at it? I don't think anybody is great at it, especially when you're super busy. Sometimes that gets overlooked and you're trying to get product across the curb. But I think the instead of YouTube and, the Facebook posts and things like that, we need to get this stuff out there. But the people, it's also the consumer want to be educated. Right. Some people don't listen. And if they're not listening, the information's out there. I'm one of the people that will go find the information to educate myself, and I'm a rarity apparently. So I don't know if the other guys have any experience.
So Bob,
they don't read.
We have 2 comments from the audience here. One from Kevin at Keystone. Not only a 10-year warranty, but the batteries have an internal heat pad. I don't know what an internal heat pad, guys. Do you know what he's referring to?
Mm-hmm. Chris,
yes.
Yep. What do you got, Chris?
So with the internal heat pad, one of the things with lithium iron phosphate batteries is that they cannot charge below freezing, and they can't be used. They can't be discharged below -4 degrees Fahrenheit. And so that's kind of one of the holdups with lithium. So by installing a heat pad or having a battery with an internal heat pad, allows you to turn it on, and it keeps it warm enough that it can charge and discharge in colder weather.
Well, how do you power the heat pad?
Winter,
the battery.
It does it through the battery. Yep. Yep. Does it through the battery. And so it does use some of the battery energy to do that. But it does give you the ability to operate it during, cold weather if you're a winter RVer. And a lot of people are doing 4-season RVing now. It's a lot more popular than it used to be. It used to be that wintertime, unless you were going, you were snowbirding going down south, you weren't going to use your RV during the wintertime. And a lot of people have been doing more and more of that with 4-season RVs that have been coming out and whatnot.
Yeah. So 2 things, like Walter Swenson wrote about.
Perry. Yep. Wanted to say hello to Mike there. Walter says maintenance, the key to everything. But like they've all said, I mean, the instructions are out there. So you read your golf cart instructions.
There's a lot of people. Yeah, there's a lot of people don't ever read their owner's manuals. I ask people when I do my seminars, how many people have read their owner's manuals, And you'll get a couple of people, and it's like, that's a resource for you to learn about stuff. And
but the only ones, Chris, I have friends that bought a Travato a few years ago, and he's kind of an engineering type person. And I said, "Did you use it yet?" He said, "We're halfway through our owner's manuals." Now, when you buy an RV, you get basically, a suitcase full of manuals. I've told people, don't read those manuals. It will allow you to never go anywhere. But Chris, obviously, you have a different view.
Yeah, that's probably not the best advice, John.
It's not. Sorry, John.
No.
I have a more important question.
John, you just wouldn't understand what's in the manual.
Yeah.
That's true.
Chris, more important question. Is that a statue or a live cat behind you?
That is a live cat who pushed the door open and came in. So that's
I thought it was a statue.
Okay.
That's
Jerry
Jack.
Says most influencers running Battleborn got them for free. Well, that's true of a lot of products in the industry. The only problem I have with that is they don't disclose that they got it for free, or that it's an evaluation, or that it's an affiliate link and they're making money on it. And there was an incident. I don't know if you guys got wind of the issue with Nomad Internet. They crashed and burned because the CEO had a very sketchy past, and a lot of these influence, they apparently paid a lot of money on the affiliate links, and they didn't bother checking it out or checking out the company or the product.
Oh yeah, that thing
crashed and burned, and it burned a lot of people, and a lot of people got very upset at the influences. So,
the thing with that I've noticed with lithium and solar. Solar is becoming very, very big with everybody. The biggest thing I've learned is the pricing. A lot of people want to live off the grid, 4 panels, inverter, converter, lithium batteries, all that. The problem is the cost. When I tell people the cost, it deters them a little bit. A lot of these trailers are coming pre-wired, and they think that they're ready to go, but they're only pre-wired with the ability, sometimes there's a panel on the roof, and sometimes the ability to plug a panel up on the roof, and they have a solar controller. They can only hold up or handle up to a certain wattage. So they are coming pre-wired, but they also need a lot more. So the cost is the biggest thing with lithium and solar.
So do you, when you talk to them, Ryan, so they've got the pre-wiring.
Yes.
But they don't have the lithium battery. So then when they start to go buy it, or do they have the lithium battery too?
Nope, they don't have. They have just the regular lead acid battery, and they want to convert to lithium, and they also want to add, panels up on the roof, because pre-wired means that it just has where you can plug the panel up on the roof, and you have the controller, and then the wires that can go to the battery. But those wires can only handle a certain load.
So do you find that the salesman maybe just says to them, well, it's pre-wired for solar, so you'll be all set when you're ready to go. And then when they're ready to go, they don't have enough money in the checkbook?
Yeah, because, I mean, there's different costs. I have books from some of the distributors, and there's different packages, different costs. And I usually ask, what do you want to do when you're not plugged in? What do you want your solar for? And then they explain to me, and I say, well, this is how much it's going to cost if you want to do this and this and this in different areas. And, you're talking $5,000 in parts on some of these kits. So, and then the labor is expensive too. So it's a big thing. I wish they could get it to where the costs, and hopefully eventually the more popular it gets, the cost can go down, because it would be easier to sell it to a customer, and it'd be the whole package.
Well, I was down at Hemlock Hill one day visiting with Chris Andro, and he said, come on out to the service bay, I want to show you something. And Dragonfly was there training the sales force and the service staff on their batteries, and they mentioned things like this. I thought it was an exceptional training facility. They were going around to the dealers and having it, because Keystone had they're putting it on all their products now, I believe. Kevin, if I'm wrong, Kevin, just let me know, but I'm pretty sure they've coordinated all their products with the Dragonfly batteries. But training is critical. Chris, what do you see from a training standpoint? You do some of the classes for RVTI, and by the way, congratulations on another class at Worcester County Sheriff's Office. And maybe you can think about that answer, but there's you and the sheriff. And I thought I had, oh yeah, there's you go here. And this was a Grand Design trailer that Grand Design donated and let you use at I assume this is the current class that you have out there. And thanks to Sherry Fuller for moving stuff all around and loaning us one. So talk a little bit about the jail first, because I think it's an incredible program and people really like it.
Well, first of all, just boning out on that picture, I'm 6'1", and you can see Lou next to me. I don't have to look up at people very often. But I mean, Lou's the nicest guy you could ever imagine. And so the education programs at Worcester County are a very important part of what they do.
And he's an elected sheriff.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they have a bunch of great programs. And certainly that one is also. To answer your question about the lithium, so there's a few different things. You can look at the consumer side of it and talk about, as we've done here, the differences between lithium and flooded lead acid, AGM, or gel cell. So weight issues, the amount of amp hours, the actual amp hours you get out of the batteries, the lithium batteries versus the lead acid batteries, that type of thing. But from the technician standpoint, it's very important for them to understand the technology, what lithium can do for you, what changes you have to make to an RV in order to put a lithium system in.
What are those changes, Chris? Are they?
So, and Ryan pointed this out too. So, one of the things that you have to look at with lithium is and Ryan said the same thing, what are you going to use the system for? And so lithium can certainly do a lot of things for you, but if you're going to take an RV and you're going to convert it over to a lithium system, you're going to put solar in. Most people will want to put an inverter in, which is, takes your battery, 12 volt DC power from your battery bank and converts it to 120 volts AC. So you're going to want to put some kind of inverter or inverter charger in. You're going to need to change the charging system. This year, there's some new product out there. WIFCO's got a line of converters now that automatically detect the chemistry of the batteries. And so, some new RVs will come with that capability.
All new RVs since the middle of 22 are lithium capable, produced from the major manufacturers. I did the homework on it. So if you've got a 22 or older, mid 22, I think June, July was kind of the cutoff. Forward, you will be lithium prepared.
Okay, good.
And to the point that you made earlier, Kevin makes note here that to Ryan's point, 1 or 2 Dragonfly batteries come on every 2023 Keystone RV product, depending on the brand, except for the sport models.
Man, I'll tell you, you're getting way over my pay grade when you come to.
I don't understand what they're talking about either. Like Barry says, 99%
the wattage of the inverter.
The OEMs are installing the WIFCO Auto Detect. Thank you, Mike Berry.
Do you know what he meant?
Huh?
Do you know what he meant, Sagami?
No, I don't know what he meant. He's talking about the product that Chris was talking about.
Chris, tell him.
These guys all talk a different language than you and I.
I sure do.
No.
So the WIFCO Auto Detect, and Mike actually walked me through these at Hershey last fall. Mike, thank you. And also at a trade show this past winter. So the WIFCO Auto Detect, what it is, it's a technology that automatically detects the type of battery that you have in your RV. So if you change your batteries, if you go from a flooded lead acid battery to a lithium, for instance, after a couple of charge cycles, it identifies the charge characteristics of the battery and readjusts itself to charge the new chemistry appropriately. And so what that's doing is it really makes it easy for a consumer to put a lithium pack in there. Now, there's a lot of different, lithium iron phosphate is pretty much what we're using across the board. It used to be lithium batteries, and you can still buy, I know some of the manufacturers still make lithium batteries without charge controllers, okay? And so the controller system inside the battery controls how much charge it can get, how much discharge it can do at one time. It also turns the battery off when it becomes discharged, and it also makes sure that the battery does not charge below freezing or does not operate at all below -4, that kind of thing. And it also is a safety device that it reads the battery and determines if there is a short circuit or some other malfunction in the system.
Exactly what
and it shuts it off, so it safeties the battery. So where we looked at a lot of the issues before with lithium batteries, the skateboards catching on fire, that type of thing, we don't have that problem as much with the lithium iron phosphate packs.
What the hell is Gary saying
today?
Yeah, can somebody interpret what Jerry Plant is saying for us non-technical people? Ryan, take a shot at that one. Can you see it? Or you want Randy to take it?
Huh? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you answer that one, or should I throw it to Randy?
Randy can take that one.
So what Jerry's referring to is a true sine wave inverter. When we manufacture power, man-made power, or where we're taking one like DC voltage and turning it to AC voltage. We call it dirty power. We've manufactured it. What a true sine wave inverter does is it makes it more like something coming off the North American grid. It makes a nice sine wave that goes above and below the 0 point, just how it would come out if the outlet in your house. So it is a more expensive inverter, but it is a better inverter for sensitive electronics. And I'm sure Chris would agree, as well as Ryan. Anyone that I do for a CPAP machine, I will only use true sine wave. If it's something that's a medical device, I'm giving you true sine wave. I want to give that machine the best power I can to operate appropriately. Today's sensitive, a quality TV or a nice computer also needs a true sine wave. It's your inductive loads and things like that that really don't care, our air conditioner or something like that. But most of our sensitive electronics or something with a circuit board in it is going to want to see a true sine wave on the AC side of things, and that's what he's referring to. So buy a good inverter if you're going to invert power.
So let me ask you, John, are you following that? There's going to be a test at 8 o'clock.
Bob, I was going to say, you and I can go out and have a beer for 20 minutes. Come back at 7:55.
Refill my glass.
This is way.
Let me ask this astute panel here. Based on your last comment about the TVs and the computers, now we're going to multiplex, we're going to all the high-tech products. Is there such a thing? Do you then make a statement to a customer and say, you have to have lithium, or you have to have this type of inverter? I mean, how does the poor
it goes back to what you asking the customer what they want to do with their solar or their inverter.
How do you use the camper?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're not like.
What would be the excessive uses that people would have? Because in my case, I'd say to run the TV while I'm not plugged in, not to run the air conditioner.
Usually it's refrigerator. If you have a household refrigerator or even a regular RV propane/electric refrigerator, and perhaps a TV and a couple outlets. That's the basics.
Yeah,
that's the basics.
The other thing too is like last time I was out in Elkhart last fall, there was a gentleman at the Elkhart campground next to me and with a vendor who was there all week putting a solar and inverter and lithium system. It was about a $20,000 or $25,000 system that they were building into this fifth wheel. Okay, really, really serious stuff. And the people who get this done, they, and this guy was one of them. I'm going to go live in the desert. He was looking to go down to Quartzsite or whatever else, be out on BLM land and not have to worry about anything. And so I think people that are putting a lot of that stuff in, that's what they're aiming for.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, can you go to 727 because we had Will Belden bring something up here, and Will
was kind enough to stay on with us. Yep.
He went from our stage to the audience, but again, he's been 4 years now. He's got a Grand Design Momentum 39-foot toy hauler, and he says, I don't know if you're still on, Battleborn replaced 3 of the 4 batteries when there was a problem. They stand behind their product. They weren't, and I guess he must have bought his unit used.
Yeah, it looks like it. But he's got an internet channel called My RV Radio, and he's got a program called RV Ace. And just before we came on here, John and I had an interview with Will for his program. And then it was so exciting. We said, hey, why don't you jump on ours at the beginning? So if you came in late, you missed Will. But Will, thanks very much for hanging on there.
And we forgot to mention, say hello to Jim Roy, who came in at 7:29. But
hey, Jim.
Jim's happy. All the
Jim.
Monmouth, Maine. He's been out on his motorcycle.
Oh, yeah? How about Walter's thing there? Can you put Walter's up at 7:31?
7:31.
And see if our experts can explain what Walter means by that. Ryan, you want to try that one?
What he's saying is they should run up on the roof of the RV a chase. So put a hole or basically something up there where you could take it off and you can run wiring down. And I actually ran into this today, to believe it or not. So you can run wiring down into the RV easier, like an access point inside the RV somewhere. Mm-hmm. And today I actually worked on I think it was a 2021, I forget the brand of it, but I had to put an antenna up on the roof. The customer had purchased a special antenna because he works out of his camper when he's down the Cape, and it's basically a Wi-Fi booster for his signal. And so this particular camper didn't have there was no chase or anything like that. So I kind of had to look up, go into one of the cabinets, behind one of the cabinets, measure, and it's not really guessing, but you feel up there and you measure and you drill a hole right through the center, right through the center of the roof, and hope you get it right.
You hope you get it right.
Yeah.
So
well, it's funny. It's funny because I used to work on a lot of Monaco coaches, and they would put a conduit in for people to add satellite TV. But the problem was in a lot of cases that they had crushed it between the top of the roof and the trusses up in there, and you could never snake it. You couldn't get stuff through. I ran into that a few different times.
What I usually do is
absorption refrigerator chimneys work really well, but those are going away from us. So, yeah.
That's so easy, but it depends on where you're going to go with the cable after that. Because if you're putting like a controller or something in, or you're going directly down there and then under the underbelly and then come back up somewhere, that's the go-to, is take the fridge vent cover off, and there you go. You have access, and you can grab power there too if you have something on the roof that you need to power.
Sure.
I think it's a great idea to run the chase, though. I will mention that next time I have a production meeting with Jayco.
There's also, what else they should do, and I don't know, I haven't seen this on any manufacturers yet. I've started seeing it on the toilets a lot, but shut-off valves at each faucet or water place. That really needs to be pushed, and I can't, if there's any manufacturer people listening, that would be a great idea. Not only for the fact that if it wasn't winterized properly and you have a leaky faucet or a leaky toilet, which I said, I've seen shut-offs at the toilets lately, but Chris, from a service point of view also, where if I'm changing a faucet in your camper, I just want to shut the valves off right there like I do in my house, so you don't have to shut the whole water system down.
From an industry standpoint, Chris, and RBTI, why isn't that in a standard? I mean, every house has it. You can't buy a house without it. It sounds so logical. Why isn't that written into one of the standards?
I can't answer that. I'm not an expert
Randy's
or member of the standards team. But
money man.
It's the almighty dollar. So I watch these guys. They'll take a light away that costs $1.68 to save, because when you times it by 1,000 or 2,000 or 4,000 RVs that are built on that line, it adds up. Or if they want to put something else on the RV and they've got to stick at their price point so they're competitive with their competitors, they'll take something away to give you something else. That's how tight it is. So when you add those valves costing like $5 or $6 a piece times, it's two sinks, so you got 4 plus the toilet, 5, just 2 sinks and a toilet, adding $25 to the coach is real numbers that they have to crunch, and they would have to give something up to give you those. Again, it's so they can stay competitive with their competitors. It's crazy. You would think that it would be a no issue on a $55,000 or $50,000 camper. $25 is.
So there may be people listening saying, well, I understand that and the cost factor, but if a consumer wanted to add,
it can be done very easily on the dealer level. And that could be something, just talking about today, my wheels are spinning going, hey, maybe I offer this as a package, Ryan.
Right.
Aftermarket install. You know what I did notice today?
Yeah. Your coach doesn't come, you do some upselling and service.
Exactly.
Say, hey, the coach doesn't have it. Let me explain to you why these are important. And we got a special $150.
I worked on a grand design this afternoon, and it actually had, and this is a really great, propane shutoffs at the appliances. Underneath are the lines.
You're breaking up on it, man. Yeah, you're breaking up. Try that again, Ryan. You were breaking up.
I had a couple customers. I worked on a grand design today, a customer's unit, and it had shutoff at the propane supply line for some of the appliances. That's a huge thing too. That way, if you go to a job and you need to replace a propane appliance, say their water heater's broken, and you pull it out and you take it with you, or something to do with the refrigerator or whatever, it's good to have that. That way it doesn't eliminate their whole propane system. They can still operate their stove or their water, whatever you didn't take out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know you can cap the line off. I understand that, because some people in the audience are going to say you can cap the line off, but it's, I mean, you're supposed to test the leak test it after you cap the line off. How many people do? I know I do that, but how many people might not do that? And it's dangerous. Propane's dangerous.
Interesting.
I think it's a good idea, because if there was an issue with the appliance or whatever, and they're actively using the camper on a weekend and talking to us, Chris Dougherty or Ryan or me, I'm going to tell you, isolate the device. Let's turn it off. Let's turn the fuel off to it and take the power away from it. And that way you can still continue on your weekend, but we've isolated this issue rather than, like what Ryan said, shutting down the whole system.
And we've had issues of late where, you talk about cooktops, right? And the ranges. There's been a problem with the fuel rails on those leaking.
There's a recall on the
yeah. And so the outside like grill or
the quick
outside appliance.
Quick connect.
Yeah, quick connect. So if you could bypass those and just shut them off, it would work out really well. Some higher end, you were talking about the water valves before. Some of the higher end coaches have the manifold blocks, right? So you can shut off lines to various things, and maybe that's something to look at also for, gas, is that there's a way of shutting things down.
Yeah, let me get some audience participation here. Mike Perry says Go Power is about ready to come out with a lithium battery that will have all that. So I'm not sure what all that is.
Those contents, those features that our experts were talking about back when you posted it.
I think so. And Frank Klein says when he
get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that.
So you should all set. Kevin says
get rid of that.
When we do the inverter, I think he means it comes with a 40 amp solar controller. Mike says GoPowerElectric.com has solar calculator. Dante says you're frozen on Ryan. I knew that. And then Frank says, when I had my RV built, I had a small pipe run front to back. That makes sense, right?
Frank, have you had to utilize that space yet for anything?
I don't know. Jim Roy up there in Maine says, we install shutoffs on every faucet and toilet. Of course, for those that don't know Jim, he's got Silver Moose Restorations up in Monmouth, Maine. They do vintage trailer restorations, especially on Airstreams. So behind the scenes, he's putting in shutoffs on every faucet and toilet. Yep. And Frank again says DRV has all separate valves. What does that mean, Ryan?
Shut-off valves at the water, perhaps.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking.
It says money and weight. Yeah, that's the two magic words, Walter.
Yeah, and there they are again.
And then Frank says, so money and weight and money. I think we got the answer to that one. Jerry Plant with his Savari has a manifold for water. No clue. Randy, what's he mean on that one?
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, some of the higher end coaches back in the day, and we're seeing it more prevalent now. Jayco has been using them on the Eagle line, things like that. So they have a water manifold, and some of the more extensive ones, you can isolate different parts of the coach all from the manifold. So you'll open up a compartment and see 10 or 15 knobs where you can shut off feeding different parts of the coach. And the Safari is one of those coaches that has that system in it.
I just did a Jim Conboy. Actually, I went down to his place last week because he calls me from time to time for work and customers' units if they are there and they need work on them. And there was a 99 Safari that the people said, we're not getting any water to our shower faucet. And I believe they were new to the unit. I never met them, but the reason why was because the manifold down in the compartment, down in the water compartment, the feed the inside shower was off.
Just off.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with it. Just off.
No, I mean, we did other things, so it's not like I went down there just for that, but that was one of the things. And like I said, I never met the people, but I believe that they were new to the coach.
Interesting.
Yep. Bob, one of the things that we find is that when we have experts on like this, we get to ask them 2 questions, and their base of knowledge is so extensive that you almost have to say, well, you know what, we'll have to have you back again, because you can see by the amount of audience participation here. And I think I only got to ask one question. That was, what are the issues that you have at the start of the year? As we come into the last 7 minutes, by the way, did we appropriately introduce Randy as being from Pete's? I don't know if we did or not.
I think what I'll do, let me go back up to because I did make a slide. I flashed them up there, but we have Randy Murray, Director of Orientation at Pete's RV since 1952.
Randy hasn't been there that long.
They got 9 locations. The 10th one is coming to Maine.
What do you mean?
Ryan Hadley, certified RV technician, owner of TRIC. And you met the T and the I at the beginning of the show, 2 of his kids. That's for his 4 kids, but you met 2 of them at the beginning. And Chris is well known in New England. He's been out there for a long time. He has now got Dougherty RV Consulting. He's been a service manager. He's been an emergency. He's been an EMT. He's been a service manager. He's been a service writer. He's been doing a lot of things in the industry. So you guys are terrific. I mean, I could just sit
Chris has something special
and watch this show.
Chris has been an EMT for broken down RVs too.
Well, that's true. He did it for human bodies, and then he got bored.
Chris, didn't you have a converted ambulance as your service?
RVs are a lot more fun.
I almost did. I was a firefighter EMT for 23 years. And when I started RV Medics, I thought about buying one of the ambulances from the fire department they were getting rid of. And I talked to our chief mechanic, Joe Tarquinio, great
You
friend,
don't want that.
And he says, do not.
They're pretty well used up when they're done with them.
It already had 400,000 miles on it, right, Chris?
Yeah, well, I remember in commercial EMS, some of those ambulances that was, what was that movie, Mother Jugs and Speed or whatever it was, and and I saw people jump them over railroad tracks and things. I saw stuff that they got abused. But the fire department ones weren't so abused, but they did get used for a long time. So
yeah.
And you don't want to know the biology in the back of those ambulances.
Yeah, you'd have to clean that a couple times, I'd say.
Yeah.
It gets in all honesty, they get sanitized, everything's good, but still you tear it apart.
5 minutes left, and I think this has been one of our best shows ever. You guys are just incredible. So let me go around the block here and ask each of you what recommendations, as our fans are getting ready for the camping season, what words of wisdom do you have for them? So, Randy?
My biggest thing is two things, I guess, would be safety. Make sure that we check the running gear. We often lose sight of we're pulling a house behind us down the road at highway speeds with our family in the vehicle. So we need to make sure the running gear is safe, make sure the wheel bearings are packed or at least checked appropriately, brakes, lights, things like that to make it go down the road safely. Because if you can't get to the campground, there's no sense of talking about camping, and we want to do it safely. The other thing I would recommend is firing your appliances at home. Don't go to the campground after your camper sat around for 6 months and think everything is going to work just the way it did when you put it away, because chances are it will not. So if something is tested and you find a fault with it a week or 2 before you go camping, we may have the resources to get you taken care of. But if you are at the campground on Saturday or Sunday and it's cold out and your heat doesn't work because you never checked it, you're on your own on that one, unfortunately. So the 2 things is safety and try things out before you leave, because if you find an issue, chances are we'll be able to help you out.
Sounds good. Ryan, how about you?
Kind of the same thing that Randy said as far as having everything checked out. If you don't know what to check out, don't know what you're doing, call me, call a professional, call somebody to come look at it and do a spring opening. Check your roof.
Take it to your dealer, get an appointment.
Yep.
It's tough.
Check your roof seals.
It's just like campgrounds, guys. You're having trouble with reservations on campgrounds, you're going to have trouble getting in. We have a lot of RVs and not enough techs, and we're still recruiting for all the techs. Yep.
I have a lot of customers that, they tried to winterize their unit on their own, and then they tried, when they went to get it ready for the spring, they may have missed a few steps. So, check your water system before you leave your house. Check everything. Like Randy said, check everything, or have somebody check it. Wheel bearings. Don't just pump grease into your bearing buddies. That is a very bad idea.
Got that, DePietro? Chris, how about you?
Have a trailer,
so I'm gonna double up on what those guys said, and I'm gonna add a little bit on safety. So we put our units away for the season. Make sure your safety detectors work. So check your change the battery on your smoke detector. Make sure that that's operating. Your propane and CO detectors are operational. Also check the emergency exits in your RV. You can operate those. So go ahead, open them up. Make sure that they open and close well. If they're sticky, you can get a little bit of weather strip conditioner, or slide out seal conditioner works nicely, right? To make sure that all your emergency exits work the way that they're supposed to. So that's a little safety tip at the beginning of the season.
And John, seeing that you are, such an expert on this type of topic, what words of wisdom do you have for them?
Get it and go.
My expert words of wisdom are call Ryan.
Hey, Trick!
He's the closest one.
I'm in a parking lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
My camper's on fire.
Will is still in the lobby. I'm going to bring him up and say,
Tires.
Will,
Tires.
you there?
Oh, Will's still there.
Will, can you hear me? Can you hear me? You can. Any last words for this astute panel of highly qualified technicians?
Nothing in particular, but it was really glad to listen to experts talking in a group, kind of like you're talking amongst yourselves.
Yeah. That's what we tell people. It's like going to a bar, meeting a couple of buddies, and talking for an hour and see what's what.
Yeah.
We'll send you their contact information if you want to get anything on there.
Yes,
Thanks,
please.
Will. Again, thank you, Will.
Thank you for having us on. We really appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Yep.
Thank you very much. I know you're all very busy.
Great show, everybody.
Yep.
Thanks
Have
for
a good night,
Great to
guys.
be here.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Thank you.
This edition of RVing in New England was a presentation of the New England RV Dealers Association. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.